guys, today we are going to be making our It's Fall people with our leaves falling from the sky. So, I'm going to start with a Sharpie today. You are going to start with a pencil so that way you can erase, change things if you need to. So, we're going to jump right in. We're going to start with our face that's going to be right towards the middle of our paper, but it's going to be looking up at the leaves that are falling from the sky. So we're going to start with the little nosy. So you're going to make a little curved rainbow line, pretty much right in the center of your paper, maybe a little bit higher than the center, so then your head ends up being right in the center. Then we're going to end up making kind of like an oval shape. So keep that in mind. I'm going to make the top half of my oval for my head. So I'm going to make a curved line that comes down and a curved line that comes down. So just kind of keep in mind that this is going to be an oval for our little head. Then we're going to make a couple small little C shapes for the ears. And then connect those with the bottom half of our oval. Now we're not going to draw our eyes because your person is looking up, so we actually won't be able to see the eyes. So this is the nose. We're just going to draw the mouth pretty much right in the middle of your head. Now, since it's starting to get fall, it's starting to get a little bit chilly, we're going to add a little scarf. So I'm going to, under the head, our necks should be skinnier than our head. So I'm going to make two slightly curved lines that come down on either side. And then I'm going to connect that with a slightly curved line. Then we're going to do that one more time underneath, like they've wrapped the scarf around their neck a couple times. Connect it with that curved line underneath. Now let's make a tail to the scarf, kind of hanging off down to the side. So maybe right here where those two pieces meet, I'm going to make just a wavy, slightly wavy, doesn't have to be too wavy, line that comes down. And then right here at the bottom corner of my scarf, I'm going to make another wavy line that comes down. Kind of like down and off to the side a little bit. Then I'm just going to close that off with a straight line. And then just add a couple strings hanging off the bottom. Now we're going to make the body and the arms that are reaching up towards the sky. So, up here, towards the top of my paper, not too close to the top, then I'll kind of scooch it down so you can see how far, I'm going to make a curved U shape. Now, it's going to be not right above my head, but maybe a little bit further out, and you can tell I'm going to put one on both sides because these are going to be like the tops of our arms. Well, not the tops, but kind of like our wrists because we're going to put our little hands on top. But I'm going to make a little U shape on either side Then I'm gonna make the inside of this U shape come down and touch the top of my head. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. The inside of this U shape come down and touch the top of my head. Then I'm gonna make the outside of this U shape. It needs to come in, okay? So don't make it just come straight down because then your body will look very boxy. You want it to look like your arms are reaching up towards the sky and then kind of like reaching out towards the leaves. So you're gonna come down next to your head and scarf, but not all the way. Don't like touch it, I mean. And you can see it almost kind of makes like a V shape. It's skinnier as it comes down. And on this side, I'm going to avoid my scarf. I'm going to make it look like the scarf is in front of my body, like that. Now, kind of for my little shirt cuffs, I'm going to make a little square on top. That just kind of looks like the cuffs of my sleeve, like this part. Then we need to make our little hands. Now hands are tricky. It needs to have 5 fingers. So maybe I'll start on this side so you guys can see. The thumb, we want the thumb to go on. Yeah, the thumb should go on the inside. I had to think about it there for a second. So when I come up and go out, I'm going to make my thumb the shortest one. And then bump, bump, 3. And then 1 more. There we go, 5. It almost looks a little too small. I'll try to make my other one a little bigger. So the thumb on the inside, 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. There we go. And don't think about it too much. Your hands don't have to be perfect. All right, now we're just gonna break up the space on our sweater a little bit here. So I'm gonna draw some straight lines. And then in just a moment, we're gonna get out our oil pastels to draw some designs on these. But first I wanna break up my space. And you can see up here where my scarf is, this line kind of gets hidden behind my scarf and then maybe it pops out again, maybe right there. Kind of making it look like those stripes go across. That's looking really cute. I'm also just going to add a couple little texture lines to my little shirt sleeve up there. All right, now we're gonna draw a few leaves in our background. So we're gonna talk about a couple different leaves. So I'm gonna start with kind of a simple one. I'm gonna make a just curved line. And then you're gonna make 2 curved lines on either side of it that just kind of come to a point. 1 on one side and 1 on the other side. You can see I left some of that line down there at the bottom empty so that it kind of looks like our leaf has a little stem. This one's a little bit trickier, so we can draw that curved line again for the stem. Then I'm gonna draw a little U shape on top like that. And then some U shapes coming down. Now, I say U-shapes, but this is more like, I'd say it's more like almost like a candy cane shape. Because see, it's kind of stretched out. I'm gonna make one more that comes down and touches the bottom. What's nice about leaves is you really can't mess them up too much. Leaves come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. Another one I'm gonna try is kind of like a triangle shaped one. So maybe I'll put another one right here. And I'm gonna start with a little V shape on top. And then on one side, I'm just gonna come out, 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 and then back in. And on the other side, out, 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 and then back. I'll show you one more kind of leaf. I'm not trying to make them too tricky for you. Let's put one right here. Again, starting with that slightly curved line. Then I'm gonna make kind of a skinny, and it's kind of going off the edge of the paper, whoops. I'm gonna make kind of a skinny V on the top. And then I'm gonna make another V shape coming down. This one kind of goes off the edge. Another little V shape. And then one more at the bottom. However, on the bottom one, we want to make it kind of curve. V and then curve. So it's kind of similar to this one, except this one is rounded and this one is pointy. All right, now I'm just gonna let you choose. You can add a couple more leaves. Don't add too many because we're actually gonna add some more a different way. So I'm just gonna add maybe 2 more. So I'll do the triangle one. And then maybe one more of those simple ones. Okay, then we have our separate piece of paper that we're just gonna draw a few more of those leaves on, okay? Because what we're gonna do with this is after we have painted them and cut them out, we are going to glue them down on top so it looks like the leaves are falling over, and we're actually gonna make them kind of pop off the page a little bit. It'll be really cool. So let's draw a few more of those leaves. You can kind of make them different shapes, different sizes. Okay, that looks pretty good. So the next step would be to go over all of your pencil lines with your Sharpie. However, I have already done that, so I'm gonna skip to the part with our oil pastels where we are going to draw some just simple designs on maybe your scarf and your sweater, because we want them to have some fun, cute designs. So they don't need to be too crazy detailed, and maybe just keep them simple. Just choose like 1 or 2 colors per thing, because it can get too busy if you're making them a little too crazy. So I'm gonna do some wavy lines with my purple in each of my little sections, and then I'm gonna go in with my pink and do some polka dots under each of those little waves. That looks cute. Okay, I'm gonna do that in all my little sections. Make sure you're pressing down on your oil pastels with good pressure so it is really showing up well when we go to paint over these. Okay, now I'm gonna choose a simple design for my scarf, and I think I'm just gonna do some stripes. And maybe I'll do like light blue and dark blue stripes. Or maybe, you know what, I'm just gonna do just dark blue. Now I also wanna make that design go down my scarf that kind of came off my body here. Next, we're gonna grab our white oil pastel and we're just gonna draw some spirals in our background. Now I know this is gonna be hard for you to see, but we're gonna draw some spirals in our background so then when we paint, these will show up and it will look like there's like a breeze blowing through the background. So I'm just gonna make some spirals, and just so you know what it looks like, what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of making spirals that look like this. And then I'll make another one that goes this way, right? So we're just kind of filling up our background with some spirals like that with our white oil pastel. Make sure you're pressing down with good pressure so then when you paint, they show up really, really well. Try not to draw over your leaves or anything. It just needs to be in the background. And you don't need to add too many. I think I added like, kind of hard to see them now, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 maybe? I think that's it. So that is the end of day 1. Next time we will paint these. We're gonna make them look beautiful. All right, guys, so today we are going to do the next step where we are painting these. So I have a few different kinds of paints we're gonna use today. I have our regular watercolors, and then I have a couple of liquid watercolors that we are going to use. So it's kind of important when you're using watercolors to jump around your paper a little bit and not paint two things right next to each other right after each other, because then they run in and bleed into each other. So I think I'm going to start. I've kind of mixed my own little color here to use for my face and my hands. You can use this, or you can use, we have just like regular brown. So I'm going to get that liquid watercolor, fill in my face and my hands. Okay, so that looks good, but I do want that to kind of dry for a couple minutes before I start painting like my shirt and things right next to it. So I thought maybe I could start painting some of these leaves. So I'm gonna get my warm colors, since I feel like we are painting fall pictures, so we kind of want these to be fall colored leaves. So I'm gonna make each leaf kind of have a couple of colors in it, so it kind of looks like the leaves are changing colors. So I'll start up here. Maybe I'll start with some yellow. And I like to make sure there's a lot of water on my brush. So now I'll get a little bit of this like yellow-orange color. And if there's a lot of water on my brush, the colors can kind of blend together. And sometimes I even go back and kind of blend them together with a little more water. So like right now, I'm gonna wash my brush. So the only thing on this now is just water, and I'm gonna go back and kind of blend the edges of those two colors together. So now it kind of blends from yellow to orange, which I think is pretty. And I can kind of switch it up. Maybe this leaf, maybe I want it to be maybe orange and red. So maybe I'll do this kind of plain orange. But this only works if you have a lot of water on your brush. If you're trying to do this with dry paint, dry brushes, they don't blend very well. Okay, so I've rinsed my brush off really well. Now I'm gonna go back to help these blend. Okay, now I think I'm gonna go ahead and do my shirt. So I think I'm just gonna pick one solid color for that. So I've decided I'm just gonna do one color for my shirt, just so it's not too busy. I already drew all those really fun designs on there, so it's already got a lot going on. I don't want it to be too distracting because I feel like the most fun part about this project is gonna be all of our leaves. And see, now I can go ahead and paint my shirt because this is a lot more dry. It doesn't really have any big wet puddles or spots that will bleed into the shirt. That looks really cute. Okay, I need my shirt to dry a little bit before I start to paint my background, so I'm gonna set this off to the side and paint these leaves on my extra paper. Okay, those look so beautiful. Set those off to the side, and now I think I'm getting pretty close to ready for painting my background. Okay, maybe while I'm waiting for my background, I'll go ahead and paint my scarf. And that, I think I do want to do purple. Okay, I still have a couple wet spots on my leaves, so I'm going to be really careful when painting my background. We are going to use this liquid watercolor blue for the backgrounds, just because if we were going to paint this whole space with these little tiny trays of paint, we would go through them really fast. Plus, this paint is really beautiful, and it's great for using on top of oil pastel, which we did in our backgrounds with our spirals. I see a spiral right there. So I'm gonna be really careful around my leaves so they don't bleed into each other. And this is just gonna be my background color. So I'm gonna make sure I'm not leaving any white space anywhere. I'm gonna get right up against my shirt without letting the paint go into my shirt. All right, now the last step of this project is to cut out our leaves and glue them down. And we're gonna glue them down with some cardboard under them so they're pop off and they're three-dimensional. So let me cut these out real quick. This is gonna take you some time because they're small, intricate leaves, and we wanna make sure that we're not leaving a bunch of that extra white space around the edges. Okay, now you can see I tried really hard to make sure I'm cutting them out so there's none of that extra white paper outside of that black line. I cut right on or right next to that black line, so it cut off all of the extra white paper. Now, we're gonna have these little pieces of cardboard. We're gonna cut some small pieces. They do not have to be big at all. Really small, because they need to be able to fit behind your leaf. If they're too big, then they'll show, and we don't want them to show. Now what we're gonna do, flip your leaf over, put a little bit of glue on the piece of that cardboard, put your leaf like that, and then you can even put a little bit of glue there and decide where do you want it to go. And you kind of purposefully want these to overlap your body a little bit. And what's so cool, and I'll show you, is they are, since we put that cardboard behind them, I don't know if you can really tell on the screen, but since we put that cardboard behind them, they're kind of popping up off the paper just a little bit. And that really gives it that really interesting three-dimensional part that just makes it so cool. It kind of looks like the leaves are falling in front of you and everywhere. So I've got several leaves here, so let's see where else we can fit some. Maybe one here. So I'm filling up my space. I want to make it so it just looks like there are leaves falling everywhere. All right, one last leaf. Let me see. It's kind of overlapping my hand a little bit. Looks cute. Oh my goodness. This looks so good. The leaves look so cool. Again, I'm trying to show you that they're popping off, but it's kind of hard to see on the screen. But it looks so amazing. You can tell I really made sure to fill up my space. I took my time on my leaves when I was cutting them out. I made sure that all of my painting was nice and neat. And I just really can't wait to see how your fall people turn out. I think these are gonna look so good.